All right, Andre, normally we would do our usual intro, but this is the Nintendo Switch. We don't have time for an intro, so we're just going to get right into it. You've had the Switch now for 2 whole days. We got the GameXplain Switch in on Monday, and naturally now you've been playing it, and you know what it's like now. I've gotten to play it at various events, so I have my impressions, of course, but you now have been living with the Switch in your household, or in your apartment for 2 days. What's it like? What is it like having one to play whenever you want and bring with you, and what have you?
It changed my life, my friend. My life is completely different now. Like,
your life has changed.
There's the before Switch era and now the post Switch era. So
it's like the internet, before the internet and after the internet.
Exactly. No, nice. Dude, it's cool, man. It is really neat. Like, I've only had a few days with it so far, of course, and most of the time's been spent, of course, playing Zelda, which we can't talk about quite yet. We'll get more into that tomorrow. So it hasn't fully quite set in yet. What the system is and what all it's capable of. Like, I haven't taken it outside the house much at all yet, and that's a big selling point, of course. But I have played around with it in its various incarnations or forms inside the house, and it's super cool. Like, there's a lot of benefits to the Switch that you don't necessarily immediately understand, even if you're aware of them. Like, I love how small it is. This is a brand new system that's dinky as hell. Like, I think we should have a size comparison up now. If not, we will very soon, comparing it to all kinds of stuff, including past Nintendo consoles. And this thing is ridiculously small. It's a handheld that's a console, and that is super neat. Also, as part of that, it's super easy to of course, take around with you, but even to move the dock around. And like, I've been doing a lot of videos in the living room and transition between the living room and my bedroom / office, and it's never been easier. It's usually a giant pain in the ass. I hate moving consoles with a Switch.
Me too.
Right? It sucks.
Yeah.
Even with a GameCube, even though I had a built-in handle, it still wasn't the best. The Switch really does make it much easier, and I really do like that. And that's not even count the fact that you can just literally just carry it with you and use it anywhere you want. So, I mean, on the whole, I'm pretty happy with it so far. There's a lot of smaller stuff we can get into, but like, as a platform, I'm pretty excited by it. But again, I can't fully judge yet. I haven't taken it out, I haven't used it outside much. And that a lot of that's gonna have to wait for our review. If I can even do a full review by the time the embargo comes up, I'm gonna have to do like a in progress type thing, because there's a lot of stuff not available to us quite yet. So,
well, I know exactly what you mean, because I took that size comparison photo at the Yacht Club Games appointment a few weeks ago, and I took a picture of the Switch right next to the Wii U gamepad and my own MacBook Pro, and just right next to the Wii U gamepad, it is unbelievable how different it is. Like, you take the Wii U gamepad and it's like this big, chunky, Fisher-Price looking toy with like a glossy exterior. Now, like 5 years later, we have the Nintendo Switch. It's super flat, it's super light. I believe it's lighter than the Wii U gamepad, and it's matte, it's not glossy. Like, this is a completely different design.
It really is. It's nuts. I mean, it is kind of nuts how much they crammed into the thing. Substantially more than they crammed into the gamepad, while being lighter. Like, how does that work?
No, it's amazing. Like I've said, I think you really hit the nail on the head, where even if you are aware of the cool things the Switch you can do, until you actually sit down with one and you have one yourself and you're trying it out, you don't know. You know, but you don't know.
Right, that's exactly it. I mean, it's crazy just how versatile it is. You don't know. I mean, a lot of people, like not a lot of people. I've seen some people be like, my iPhone, iPad already do that with its TV screen out, and I have that too. That's how we record videos from Mario Run and Fire Emblem. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. It's not even close. It really isn't. This is a console caliber experience. Playing an iPhone and iPad definitely isn't. And the ease in which you can switch between the two is really does. I mean, that in of itself is the difference. It really is a big deal.
Nice. Well, now we haven't heard too much about setup. How was setup for you when you took it out of the box? Like, was it easy?
It was super easy. I was surprised at how easy it is. You can lliterally start playing out of the box. Granted, it doesn't have a full charge on it. You turn it on. I mean, that's how you need to start setting up. You need to start setting it up basically with the Switch not connected to a TV, and they'll walk you through the steps on the Switch itself. It's like, set up the dock, connect the cables to the back, and then, connect those cables to the TV, and then once that's all set up, dock the thing you're holding and put it inside the dock, and the image will magically appear on your TV. It really is simple. It's probably the simplest console setup I've had.
So what you're saying is it's slightly easier than setting up a PlayStation VR.
Actually,
just a little bit.
I do want to adjust this a little bit. Maybe not the easiest console. There might be a little bit more involved, but it was easy. And I think partially because I'm coming off of setting up a PSVR like just a few days ago, that it seemed ridiculously easy by comparison. Because PSVR is a giant pain in the butt. So whereas the Switch really was easy. So
right. Well, I know we haven't really had too many people talking about the interface yet because Nintendo hasn't even officially shown it off. So you've actually had a little bit of time to fiddle around with the Switch and navigate through various menus. How are you feeling about the interface?
Yeah, not only that, there should be a whole video up of me giving a full tour of everything about the interface. So make sure to check that out. It should be up now. It's good. The thing that stands out to me is it's fast. It starts up almost instantly, whether from a cold boot. That takes a little bit longer, but most normally you'll be starting it from sleep mode. In fact, it's hard just to figure out how to turn off your system completely. Like, this thing was designed to be entering sleep mode, or to be in sleep mode when you're not playing it. And it starts up almost instantly from sleep mode, which means you can pop right back into Zelda, for instance, if you left off playing that game. It's great. I like that, especially from the Wii U, which was a complete slug. That thing took forever doing anything. The Switch is the opposite. Everything is just super quick, super responsive. I like that. In terms of maybe just like that Nintendo charm or fun, I think it's a little bit lacking in that regard. Like, there's no music. It's kind of a quiet experience.
Sure.
And I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, the operating system above all else just needs to be functional, and it's definitely functional. It does seem to have it seems to be just a little bit light in the charm department, as compared to even like the Wii U, Wii, or GameCube, for instance, or DS or 3DS. But I am hoping you can switch themes on the 3DS or on the Switch. There's only two right now. They call them Basic Black and Basic White. And the fact that they're calling them basically tells me that they're going to be adding more themes. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the Nintendo charm comes back. Or maybe those will add the music and sound effects and stuff like that. So.
Well, and with the 3DS already has premium themes. So it goes to follow that the Switch will soon have premium themes. Or at least other themes that you can download.
Exactly. And as part of the OS, I just want to mention, or drive home the point how easy to use it is. You can easily switch user profiles, much easier than on the Wii or on the Wii U. In fact, the way it works here is interesting, but I don't think there's a profile you log into when you start using the system. Instead, you choose it, as far as I can tell, on a per game basis. I only have one game, of course, but yeah, once you pick a game, Zelda in this case, it asks you which profile you want to use, and that's when you are logged in. So it's really interesting in that it doesn't seem to matter outside that which profile you're using.
Well, that's really interesting. So there's no top level login.
Right.
Every time you turn on the console, you're only logging in when you start playing a game. That's so I guess you must log in then when you access the eShop eventually. It's interesting though that you're not always logged in.
As far as I can tell, maybe I'm wrong. I could be misinterpreting that,
Sure.
but that seems to be how it works. So, because at any time you can just tap the profile icons at the top left and just see what they're about, and you can change any of their settings or whatever else. So, as far as I can tell, there isn't a top level login. So.
Interesting. Well, now, just for clarity's sake, just because I just mentioned the eShop, just so everyone's aware, you can't actually access the eShop. Right.
So I can't fully test that, exactly. There's actually a lot of functionality that I can't quite access. I can't share photos online. I can't add a friend. I can't, access the eShop. I can't, it won't download new news updates, which, by the way, is another cool thing here, where you actually get news downloaded to your system that you can check out. I guess it is a little bit like the Wii U's update section, but infinitely way more useful and user-friendly, so.
Yeah, so this really does, it feels like a new Nintendo in terms of the engineers who designed this system compared to the Wii U. Like, the Wii U was, in so many ways, even though it ultimately had a lot of great games, it was so backwards thinking in its design, whereas the Switch is so modern and sleek and forward thinking, and it really does feel, from what you said, it feels like a handheld version of a console with things like the sleep mode and different themes you can install and things like that. Like, it isn't just the fact that you can take it with you. It does seem like the Switch, in a lot of ways, is designed to be a handheld take on a console. Well, you've had a little more time now with the various control schemes and various ways you can play the Switch. How do you feel about those? The Joy-Con grip versus the Pro Controller versus playing on the Switch itself. Like, how do you feel about the various ways you can interface with this thing?
So, day one, I only played with the Joy-Con grip. I wanted to put it through its paces and see how it held up in Zelda. And I was a little bit surprised. It felt fine. I had no issues with it.
Okay.
I was a little bit concerned about because the Joy-Cons, the control sticks do have a little bit of a lesser travel distance, and I was a little bit concerned, compared to a standard control stick or even the Pro controller, and I was concerned how that might affect being able to aim or whatever. It didn't seem to be an issue, and especially because, the game supports motion controls too, so you can use that to augment the aiming. But yeah, I thought the Joy-Con grip was comfortable. Didn't really have any issues with it at all. However, I have since switched to the... I'm going to keep doing that every time I say
There's
switch.
No way to avoid it.
And I just switched to the Pro Controller since then. And that too is I like it as well. I actually prefer it to the Wii U Pro Controller. Between the two, I would say the Pro Controller is probably better, but it's honestly not as big of a difference as I thought it might be. Both are valid ways of playing the game, so...
Well, I'm glad to hear that you felt the same way I do, because of all the various demo events I played Zelda at, I played with the Joy-Con grip, and I see so many people online saying, oh, I have to buy a Pro Controller at launch for Zelda, and I'm like, no, you don't.
No.
Like, I was playing Zelda with the Joy-Con grip for a good 30 minutes, and I loved it. I thought it felt great for the game, so I'm glad to hear that you feel the same way after having played it for a couple of days.
Yeah, perfectly playable. No concerns. I can't say that'll be the case for every game.
Sure.
You yourself have experienced in Shovel Knight. You need a D-pad for that, which a Pro Controller provides. But yeah, so far, it's looking good.
Now, I'm curious as to what sets the Switch Pro Controller apart from the Wii U Pro Controller that you like it more, because they're so similar ergonomically. Like, they feel similar in the hand. So what is it about the Switch Pro Controller that you think is better?
I thought they felt more similar than they do until I did some A and B testing. The build quality feels pretty similar, but the Switch Pro Controller actually feels more comfortable in my hand. It actually feels a little bit like it conforms a little bit better to it.
Interesting.
And I just like the general feel of it better in general. That was redundant. But
right.
The button placement, I like the triggers better. I like the control stick placement better too than the right analog stick being above the buttons, for instance.
Right.
Keep in mind, these are all minor stuff. They are similar, but I just find it to be more comfortable overall. I will say, it is a little bit heftier than I expected. It's a little bit heavier than I anticipated, especially compared to the Joy-Con grip.
Okay. And the Wii U Pro Controller is like a paperweight. It's so light.
Oh, it totally is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is definitely a little bit chunkier, or heavier rather, not chunkier, but not a big deal. So I think it's a fine controller. We're still not talking GameCube caliber, but it's probably the closest Nintendo's got in sense.
Well, the only controller that's GameCube caliber is the GameCube controller.
Exactly.
So
that's it.
Plus I do like that it kind of harkens back to the early aughts or late '90s when that translucent plastic where you can see the electronics inside was cool. And they're kind of bringing that back, because you can kind of see the circuitry, right? And the wiring inside the Pro Controller.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at it right now, and you actually can see a little bit through the top level there. So it reminds me a little bit, like the Game Boy Color when that came out. So
yeah, or like even the Game Boy Advance had that kind of that frosted purple thing.
That's true,
where it was cool that you could see the circuitry, and so it totally reminds me of that. I love that.
It is pretty neat. It's a nice little touch.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered all the major points. I know you've only had the Switch for a couple of days now, but is there anything else you want to talk about?
I guess the only thing I want to bring up, I did try taking it outside briefly just to see how it holds up in the sun, and it holds up pretty much exactly as you expect, like any screen too. You won't be able to play this like at a park really, unless you're under some shade or something, because it is really hard to play. It's really hard to see with the sun blaring down on the screen. That's really no fault of the Switch itself. That's just like how most screen technology is currently. So if you want to see how it's going to be like playing the Switch, take your phone outside, put on max settings, and it's probably going to be pretty similar. It's possible, especially if you use yourself as like the shield against the sun, like the barrier. But it's just a lot harder to see the finer details, and it's nothing I would personally recommend. So.
Cool, well that's good to know. Anything else, any other points you want to touch on before we wrap up?
I think we covered it pretty well, like as much as we can now. Like we've already talked about the Switch ad nauseum so much already. This is just providing like a little bit finer detail, and yeah, I'm just happy with it overall. Like I like how easy it is to switch it from its different forms. How small it is, like I love that. It's just in general a cool console. It's a cool system. And I can't wait to spend more time with it and play more Zelda. I have not played Zelda at all today, but I've been prepping all this preview content in the Switch. I need to play more Zelda.
I know, especially considering it is like the biggest Zelda ever. It's like this massive open world Zelda, and you gotta get to it.
Yeah, I really can't say anything, but it is ridiculous how big this game is. So, and you'll be hearing more about that tomorrow. So.
Well, stop talking to me, forgo food, forgo going to the bathroom, everything. Just focus on Zelda. You shouldn't do anything. No eating, no sleeping, no going to the bathroom. Just Zelda.
Hold on, dude. Did you not see the Nintendo Europe commercial? I can play it while going to the bathroom, okay?
That's actually true. That I love that little that brilliant bit of the Nintendo UK commercial. That was amazing.
Hold on, is it actually true or is it actually poo?
Why would you? No, that doesn't. I don't. No, I don't accept that one. That was not a good pun.
Fine. All right. It's been a long day, my friend.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And as you just said, you've been spending this long day putting together all sorts of cool Switch videos, such as that user interface tour. So go check those out right now, so you can find out more about everything we're talking about here. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on our various social media pages. You can find all those links in the video description below. Otherwise, keep it on GameXplain for more on the Nintendo Switch and all things gaming. Alright guys, until next time, bye.